There is a building material that does not burn. It does not rot. It does not let mold grow. Pests cannot eat through it. And the longer it stands, the stronger it gets, turning over decades into literal stone. It breathes like living wood, regulating temperature and humidity without any mechanical system. A wall of it costs a family almost nothing to heat or cool. And the core ingredient can be grown from seed in just 120 days. Then, in 1937, the United States government made it a crime to grow the plant it comes from. Not because it failed, because 3 powerful men decided it threatened their fortunes. This is the story of hemp-crete, the criminalized building material that could have given every American family a home that is fireproof, indestructible, and completely free from corporate dependence, and the names of the men who made sure that never happened. Welcome to Nature's Lost Vault. The archive opens in France, not in the 1980s when modern architects rediscovered this material. The archive opens in the 6th century AD, 500 years after the fall of Rome, along the Sarthe River. Here, engineers of the Merovingian kingdom constructed bridge abutments from a mortar made of hemp fibers and lime. Those bridges are gone, but the hemp-lime foundations they rested on remain. Archaeologists found them completely intact 1400 years later. Across the world in India, inside the carved Buddhist caves of Ellora, the plaster lining the walls has protected intricate carvings from monsoon humidity for over 15 centuries. When scientists analyzed it in 2016, they found pounded hemp. The caves flood during the rainy season, yet the plaster has not crumbled, not molded, not failed. The formula is almost absurdly simple. Take the woody inner core of a hemp plant, called the hurd, the part that rope makers historically threw away as waste. Mix it with lime and water. Pack it into wall forms around a timber frame, and wait. What happens next is alchemy. The lime reacts with carbon dioxide in the air through a process called carbonation. Over days, weeks, and years, sometimes 12 years, the lime slowly reverts to calcium carbonate. It turns back into stone. The hemp fibers become encased in a mineral matrix. The wall literally petrifies, becoming harder and more resilient every single year it stands. Because of the high silica content in the hemp fibers, fire cannot take hold. When flames touch hemp-crete, the lime binder forms a charred layer that extinguishes itself. In standardized tests conducted to the ASTM E119 fire resistance standard, hemp-crete walls have withstood temperatures exceeding 1,700 degrees Fahrenheit for over an hour without significant heat transfer, earning the highest Class A fire rating in the building industry without a single chemical additive. The high pH of the lime binder, around 12, makes it biologically impossible for mold to establish. Mold requires a pH of 4.5 or lower to survive. The wall kills the chemistry before it begins, and the material breathes, absorbing excess humidity and releasing it slowly. So condensation never builds inside the wall cavity. The very thing that rots a conventional house, trapped moisture behind drywall, cannot happen. There is no trap. Moisture moves through. Termites, carpenter ants, and boring beetles cannot eat it. There is no organic material their biology can process. The wall starves them. This is what Americans were legally kept from building. In 1619, the colonial government of Jamestown issued a mandate. Every farmer in the colony was legally required to grow hemp. The plant was so essential to survival that it functioned as legal tender. You could pay your taxes with it. George Washington grew it at all 5 farms of Mount Vernon, recording the crop 90 times in his personal diaries. Thomas Jefferson considered it so valuable that when he designed an improved hemp processing tool, he refused to patent it. He wanted every farmer to have it for free. The American Navy was built on hemp. The sails and rigging of every warship required thousands of pounds of it. And inside those hemp stalks, in the woody herd that was stripped away and discarded during fiber processing, was the raw material for hemp-crete. Every ton of hemp fiber processed left behind a mountain of herds, the exact material needed to build indestructible walls. But colonial builders did not know what the Merovingian engineers had known. That knowledge had not crossed the ocean, and what happened next ensured it never would. In the mid-1930s, everything was about to change. An inventor named G.W. Schlichten had developed the decorticator, a machine capable of separating hemp fiber from its herd at industrial speed, at a cost of half a cent per pound. American hemp could suddenly compete with anything on Earth. In the spring of 1937, the editors of Popular Mechanics prepared an article calling hemp the new billion-dollar crop, predicting it would become America's most important agricultural resource. The article ran in February 1938. 6 months later, it was already too late. 3 men had decided this could not be allowed to happen. William Randolph Hearst was the most powerful newspaper publisher in America. He was also the owner of vast timber holdings across the continent, and his paper mills ran on wood pulp. Hemp could produce 4 times more paper per acre than trees. If hemp became the industry standard, Hearst's forests and his mills would become worthless overnight. The DuPont family had just patented nylon in 1935. They were developing a massive suite of synthetic petrochemical products, plastics, synthetic textiles, chemical solvents to replace natural materials across every industry. Hemp competed directly with nylon for rope and textiles. The newly efficient hemp herd competed with DuPont's chemical wood pulp process for paper. Hemp grew from the dirt for free. DuPont's chemicals had to be purchased year after year from DuPont. Andrew Mellon was the Secretary of the Treasury, the wealthiest man in America, and the chief banker to the DuPont empire. In 1931, he had appointed his future nephew-in-law, a former prohibition enforcer named Harry Anslinger, to lead the newly formed Federal Bureau of Narcotics. Anslinger needed a mission. Mellon gave him one. What followed was a masterclass in corporate propaganda. Hearst's newspapers ran a sustained campaign, equating the industrial hemp plant with marijuana, printing fabricated stories of violence and moral collapse. The word marijuana, then unfamiliar slang, was deliberately weaponized in the headlines because most Americans did not know it referred to the exact plant their farmers had been growing legally for 3 centuries. When the Marijuana Tax Act came before Congress in 1937, the hearings lasted only a matter of hours. Anslinger testified by reading Hearst's newspaper stories aloud into the congressional record as if they were government findings. The American Medical Association opposed the bill. A representative from the hemp industry begged to testify. Neither was given adequate time. The act passed. It did not ban hemp outright. It required a tax stamp to grow it, but the stamps were nearly impossible to obtain. To get a stamp, you had to already be growing hemp. To grow hemp, you needed a stamp. That impossible catch was intentional. The American hemp industry was dead within years. And look at what we build with instead. Today, the average American home is built from chemically treated pine studs, a wood frame so flammable that a house fire can consume the entire structure in under 10 minutes. The walls are filled with fiberglass insulation that compresses over time, loses its thermal value, and causes respiratory damage. The interior is sealed with drywall, gypsum panels that, in a fire, release hydrogen sulfide and sulfur dioxide into the air your family is breathing. Termites eat the frame. Mold grows inside the wall cavities. Every material in that wall, insulation, sheathing, vapor barrier, must be purchased from industrial manufacturers on a 30 to 50-year replacement cycle. The house you build is a subscription. You pay for it forever. Hemp-crete requires no replacement. It has no cycle. A home built correctly from hemp and lime does not degrade, it hardens. And it is entirely carbon negative, locking away an estimated 325 kilograms of carbon per cubic meter for the entire life of the building. The Merovingian bridge foundations lasted 14 centuries. The Buddhist cave plaster has lasted 15 centuries. While the United States criminalized the plant, Europe never stopped building with it. France has constructed hemp-crete homes since the early 1990s. In Belgium, a manufacturer called ISO Hemp now produces more than 1 million hemp-crete blocks annually. In England, contractors who work with it cannot understand why we pour toxic chemicals into conventional houses when a lightweight material that smells of the earth outperforms them all. In December 2018, President Trump signed the Agriculture Improvement Act into law. Industrial hemp was legal at the federal level for the first time since 1937. The plant that Jamestown farmers were legally required to grow, the plant Washington tracked in 90 diary entries, was finally legal again. In 2022, the International Code Council added hemp-crete to its official building codes, giving American architects a legal framework to use it for the first time. 85 years late, after the 2025 wildfires tore through Los Angeles, architects and engineers began recommending hemp-crete construction for the rebuild zones. Homes that fire cannot consume in wildfire country. The people who lost everything to flames were being offered walls that withstand 1,700 degrees. 3 men erased it. A continent remembered it. And the material itself never stopped doing what it has always done. It waited, it got harder, and it outlasted. The wall that cannot burn, cannot rot, cannot be eaten, and cannot be owned by a chemical monopoly is coming back. It hardens with every passing year into something stronger than the forces that tried to erase it. It never needed permission to survive. It just needed time. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe to Nature's Lost Vault and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon.
All right, now hemp-crete. This is a bit of concrete, which is really heavy. That's concrete, right? Cannot replace this beautiful bit of hemp-crete. So this is actually the older system where the timber frame is inside the wall and the hemp-crete is rounded, is cast around it. But that requires to make it wet, mix it on site and walk it to the wall.
Hi, I'm Johan T, founder of Hemp-Block International. I'm here to quickly go through the system just to clarify things, and let's start right from the beginning. Hemp, industrial hemp, these are some hemp stalks. There's millions of YouTube videos about this, but I'd like to explain all in one. The hemp stalks are cut off, dried, and we use only the wood that is within the hemp stalk. The fibers are sold separately. They're very strong for all kinds of products. So here we are. We've got the hemp wood that gets compressed and mixed with water and a lime mix to create blocks, hemp blocks. So that's us. So here we have some hemp blocks on display. We start with the LB300. So the LB300 is an interlocking block that does not require mortar. These blocks are not made load-bearing because then the fluffiness of the hemp block will disappear. The lightweightness, the fact that it is breathable, so we don't want to compromise that to make it load-bearing. We've invented a load-bearing system and I'll show you first the old load-bearing system that we worked with before. The original system is steel reinforced concrete where steel bars are linked together with ligatures, and they're put inside here and filled up with concrete. So we stepped away from that system because this system is definitely faster. So the LB300 is a hemp block that is 300 millimeters deep, 600 millimeters long, and pretty much 300 millimeters high, or 308. So it's interlocking, no mortar required. There are three types of blocks, which I can demonstrate here. The standard block, which is the block without any holes or grooves. The column block, which will take the load-bearing system. And the U-block. And they're right here. So, how does our system work? First thing on the ground, take off the tongue and attach a groove on the floor. And we put in our steel stumps. Then we erect the wall, normally 9 blocks high, which is about 2.4, and we enter the FRP or steel post in that hole. So this is FRP, fiber reinforced polymer. This is a 2.5 meter long post that can withhold the loads of the wall. It's lightweight and very strong, yet flexible. Let me show you in the corner here how that goes. So we've got the post in, then we enter a bit of steel and our ring beam. That will take the loads of the roof or the floor in case you go for 2 stories or 3 stories. So there's your ring beam. Around the post, we cast a lightweight mix of perlite and a little bit of cement and water to make sure that post is nice and sturdy and to connect all the blocks together. And that is really that. All right, so here we are with the HB series. HB stands for hemp block. This is just a rectangular block that is mortared together, and we supply them in 4 different thicknesses. So 300 mil, 200 millimeters, 150, and 100 millimeters thick. The blocks are connected with block ties to your back wall. Here we demonstrate the 100 mil thick, and they are mortared together. That's the 100 mil. This system is always a breathable system, made out of natural materials, breathable. Fantastically fire retardant, and mold won't grow on these walls. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. While I'm here, there's always the question how to put electrical conduits or electrical wiring services like data, electrical and plumbing in there. We can create a groove with the chainsaw, put the cable in there, and that's it. We'll fill that up with render and hemp-crete, and that's it. That's all we need to do. So let's have a look in this building here. How does it feel? This is it's nice temperature here. You will experience that in your hemp block house or in your hemp-crete house. You experience this nice cozy feeling because there's no coverings on the floor. It's a little bit echoey here, but still the sound is pretty good. It just feels really nice. This is wall. These walls have been finished with one coat of lime render, not the second one. So it's the rough coat. This will be transported to the new owners and then finished. Electrical will go in and then finished with a second coat. So here in the workshop part of the hemp block display center and training center, we created 3 walls for testing, which will go out next week. So there are 8 blocks. This is a standard 2.4 wall height. This is how they go together. 2 coats of lime render. And this is also the start of our modular wall system that we'll put together soon. We have a bit of experimental stuff going down here and our cabin that will be sold shortly.